All right. So, welcome to episode number 5. And we got the pleasure of having Ravina on the episode today.
Yeah,
And this is the entrepreneurial mind and founder of Just Cakes Bakeshop.
yeah,
And she's also the co founder of Gummy Gains, among
yes.
other ventures that we're about to find out. Ravina is also into fitness and personal development, and today we're honored to have her join the Limitless platform to share her exciting story of how she came to build her amazing company and community. So, today's episode, we shall be exploring Ravina's journey to discovering herself, how baking gave her meaning and purpose in life, and her journey to being an entrepreneur through the lens of fitness, mindfulness, and relationship building in different avenues during the conversation. But with that being said, we are so thrilled to have you. And first things first, how are you doing, Ravina?
Well, first things first, thank you so much for having me. This is the perfect way to end off on a Wednesday night. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Right.
I'm grateful to be here. I'm doing good. I'm excited to chat and I'm excited to talk about, all things personal development, entrepreneurship. It's like my favorite thing to talk about. I could talk about it all day. So yeah, I feel very grateful to have the opportunity to share my story and, connect with you. So yeah.
Perfect. Appreciate that. Appreciate you for coming through. Wednesday night it is. Wednesday
Yeah,
night interlude. But
with
this Wednesday
my
night
bubbly
episode.
and my sweet.
She's
I've
loaded.
got
She's
snacks.
loaded. All
Yeah.
right. So Just Bakes. Why Just Bakes? How'd that name
So
come about?
just cakes, bake shop.
Just cake, bake shop.
All good. No worries.
Wednesday night.
I
Wednesday night.
know.
Come on, Greg. I need coffee.
Yeah, so kind of the story is I started baking at a really young age from my mom's kitchen. I found a lot of just like peace in baking and making something from nothing. I was like around 16, a little bit earlier than 16, but 16 was when I started to actually like take orders and stuff. It just I grew fascinated with pastry and cake, and I watched a lot of Cake Boss and Food Network and all that kind of stuff. So I just was really drawn to it. And at a very young age, I kind of, really immersed myself in it, became obsessed with the craft. And it kind of the Spark Notes version of my story is, I was able to continue doing that. And as someone that kind of went through a tough time growing up, as a lot of us do, I
Hmm.
really found my identity in the kitchen. And I think that is the thing that always brings me back to it, even after all this time. And, finding that and finding who I was in that allowed me to kind of explore and also just gain confidence in myself as a person, which
Great.
then ultimately led to a life of entrepreneurship and baking and owning bakeries and things like that. So it's kind of been, as I like reflect on it now, it's been almost 8 years of opening the storefront and almost half my life doing this. So it'll be 15
Great.
years really soon. I turned 31 this month. So
Oh,
yeah,
congrats.
so it's
Happy pre-birthday.
yeah, it's been a long time. And of course there's ups and downs and things like that, but it just goes straight to that root of like the kitchen is like my happy place, it's my safe place, and I continue to be drawn to it. So I feel really lucky and grateful that I was able to find such a passion at a young age and able to do something with that passion.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. I think you've touched on something that, a lot of us try to trace during our journeys to trying to become whatever version of our purposes in life. And
Mhm.
let's go back to the root. I think you
Sure.
mentioned like that's the root. Do you remember your first baking experience?
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right,
I
take us
mean,
through that.
I was super young. Like I don't even know how old I was, but I remember that I begged my parents for an Easy Bake Oven. And that
Right.
Christmas I got the knockoff Easy Bake. It wasn't Easy Bake, it was some other knockoff, but it did the same thing. I remember like baking with that and I just loved it. And growing up, my mom, I have two younger sisters as well. My
Hmm.
mom was very big on, and she's an amazing cook herself. She's very like hands-on. She's very good with her hands. So she
Hmm.
really tried to, give us that. Like instead of watching TV, she would bring us like a bead making set. after school, and that would be like our after school activity. Or like she would bring home like a cake decorating set, and that's kind of how that started for me, right? It was
Mm-hmm.
on sale, it was on, I don't know, Superstore or something like that, and then her and my sister picked it up and then brought it home, and we made a cake, right? So
Right.
yeah, so my earliest experience is definitely like the easy bake. And then after that, just seeing my mom and my aunt especially always in like the kitchen, and they loved it, like they truly like cooked or baked with their heart, right? And I
Right.
think that has also been a really constant theme that I try to kind of evoke in everything that we do at Just Cakes. I mean, you can try. You know
Right.
how like home cooking has like a different kind of vibe? That's
Right.
exactly it. Like I want our products, our baking to like evoke that. Like we truly care about like the feeling of how you prepare it and then how you give it, right? So I think
Mm-hmm.
that that's been a big thing in terms of intention and baking.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's really dope to hear. The relationship that you have with your mom and your auntie, and how
Yeah.
they kind of love the kitchen, and you found a safe haven in the kitchen as well with your baking.
Hmm.
Um, let's transition to like how you transition from just enjoying it to starting to think of that as a
Yeah.
business, because I feel like there's a transition in terms of like the practice itself, and
Hmm.
also like transitioning from like just doing it for fun, getting up at the kitchen, and now it's,
Right.
oh damn, okay, this can be
Yeah.
something.
That's a
When did you
great
kind of like
question.
yeah.
When I think back on it, like my dad is an entrepreneur and everything, and growing up I was very like around that kind of life, right? Like how hard they worked, but also the conversations being had about business and things like that and relationship building. So I think that had definitely had an influence in my like thought process in this. But in the beginning it was very much just a hobby and something I loved to do. It was like pay for my ingredients and I'll make you a cake. Like it wasn't anything about like making money. And but very quickly after I started to really practice my skills and all that kind of stuff, I got, friends and family asking for, hey, can you make this birthday party cake or baby shower? And I was like, oh, maybe I could charge a little bit more for this, right? Like my time and
Right.
everything, and it's something that I love to do. So that's kind of how the snowball started. Really, really small. I think, I was making a cake here and there. It wasn't anything crazy, but then I would say yes to the most ridiculous requests and just figure it out. And I would figure it out. And I think that's also kind of been like a constant theme of just like, you may not know all the answers, but you figure it out along the way. And that's, if that isn't entrepreneurship in a sentence, that
I don't
is
know what is.
exactly. Yeah. So then it kind of started like that. And then, the snowball starts to get bigger, get bigger. I'm like 16, 17 at this point. I'm like, oh, it's fun and it's good. I can have it on the side and, make a little bit of extra money. And then I moved to UBC and I lived not at my parents' house. And then that's kind of where the shift kind of happened even more. So I was, making enough side hustle money essentially to like pay for my grocery and my gas and things like that and really help. And that was the first true sense. I was like, wow, like I don't have to rely on my parents as much or
Right.
something like that, right? And like I was what, 19 at the time. So I was quite young
Whoa.
and like still like, making a couple $100, like pretty awesome, doing something that I loved and that felt really good. And then it became more and then more and it just kind of like this domino effect just started happening. And it, especially like in my second year, that's when I kind of really started to do it as like a side hustle. And then in
Mm-hmm.
my third, fourth year, like by the end of my fourth year, I was running a full-fledged business from my basement going to
Right.
UBC. Like I was literally working, doing people's cakes more than I was in class. Like, I hate to admit that, but it was true. And
Staying.
stay in school. I will say post-secondary though, if I did not have that experience, I don't think I would be the person I am today or have
Right.
the experiences or the connections that I've had that have played a root part in like my business and my journey as an entrepreneur. So I think I accredit my entrepreneurial spirit a lot to my time at UBC. So stay in
Nice.
school
Stay in school and run your business and go to
and do
school. You
it. You
could
can do
do
it
it
all. You can do
because Ravina did it and she was
exactly.
acing it.
Dude, I was that girl in the 24-hour library during exam season that would hand out business cards and a free cupcake to everybody studying, right? Like it just I was that girl. So
You
it can be done. It can be done.
you've been wired for entrepreneurship from the get go.
Yeah, you have to be delusional and just execute. That's basically it. But no, anyway, so by the end of the fourth year, just to give a comparison. So, third year, after third year UBC, summertime, I had done like 13 wedding cakes. By my
Right,
fourth year, summertime, I did like 112, like something like that. So it jumped like crazy. It just started to like go somewhere, right? And I was like, oh my
right,
God, like this could be something, right? And, I was saving money and all that kind of stuff, and it felt really good, and I was working really hard. So then by the time it came to graduate from UBC, you're left with that, obviously, that age old question, like, what do you want to do with your life, right? And my degree is in psychology, and most notably, like in counseling, I was really interested in that.
hmm
So I was like, okay, maybe I can. I'm sorry, my degree, yeah, psychology with I was really interested in like child psych. So I, faced with that question, I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna give this a shot, getting to the workforce using my degree, but I'm also gonna try like my side hustle or like really try to make it something. And I know a lot of people can relate to that. And I worked as a behavior interventionist and childcare worker with children with developmental disabilities for
hmm
about 2.5 years, all the while also working basically full time as like a cake artist. So I had two jobs, right?
right,
And very quickly I was seeing, again, that snowball get bigger and bigger and bigger on the business side of things. And then come the fall after I had graduated UBC, starting to look at like pastry schools in Paris. And initially I was told my parents, like, that would be such a big dream of mine. On our next family trip, can we go to Paris? And I would take a class. And they're like, yeah, yeah, we'll get there. It's all good. And then so I just, grew some balls and inquired with the school myself. And they told me they had room in 2017 for a spot. They only took 12 people per semester. And
right,
so they said we have room in 2017. This is end of 2015. So I'm like, that's great. That gives me time to save and to plan and everything like that and figure out this like transition plan, right? A couple weeks go by and they're like, hey, somebody dropped out, and there's space if you want it, but we need your payment like now, or like the deposit payment. And then
right.
I was like, I was 21. I literally went to the bank as soon as it opened. I emptied out my bank account. I paid them their deposit, and I came home and I told my parents I'm gonna go to Paris for pastry school. And my parents are incredible human beings, and they were like, okay, like when do you leave? So that was kind of like the start of like, okay, she's taking this seriously, and yeah, it kind of
I wanna stop you right there for a quick sec because I feel like we need to understand something that happened organically or throughout the journey of you trying to
yeah,
figure things out that a lot of people could relate. Me being one of them, because I think a lot of us go through life trying to figure out like, okay, I went for a specific skill or
yeah,
program in terms of education, and I spent 4 years in my bachelor's or diploma or master's, whatever it is, whatever level you
mhm,
get to. And then I have this other thing that brings out the artistic or creative side of me
right,
that I truly want to like carry forward into the world and share,
right,
express myself in my own lens that
yeah,
other people could relate to.
mhm,
At what point do you as Ravina get to understand that,
yeah.
okay, maybe clinical psych is good, but it's
Yeah.
not baking and it
I
doesn't
think
give me that feeling.
right. Well, that was exactly it, right? I was like, I made that promise to myself. I was like, I'm gonna give both things a real shot. And I
Right.
did. I really, I immersed myself in my career. I loved my job. And I truly think that that job that I had made me the leader I am today, or helped me become the leader I am today. So I think everything does have a place in your life for a reason.
hmm
So, but doing both things at the same time, I had so much joy doing, being a baker and making cakes and making something from nothing and being a part of people's special events, right? It
Right.
was like something like so therapeutic for me. I loved doing it, didn't feel like work. And, also hearing my parents as well saying, like, if you love this, like, give it a shot, like, go for it. And I think that's huge. Like, I know I'm South Asian, so in our culture, it's not, it's hard to come by. Things are getting a little bit better, but I mean, it's no fault to our parents. And I talk about this a lot. It's like, they don't know anything else, especially if they're immigrants, than other than survival. They had to do what they had to do to provide for their family, right? But
Right.
we also, as their children, get the choice or are able to have more of a choice, right? And
Right.
it's hard. I understand the struggle between children and parents in this dynamic because your parent just wants you to be able to have a great good life and be healthy and sustain yourself. And the only way that was truly shown to them is, get a degree, get a job, make decent money, right? there was no other there was no other path that was so like what's it so prevalent, right, at
Right.
that time. But however,
Right.
things are changing, right? And so having that
Mm-hmm.
conversation, I understand, can be so difficult because
Mm-hmm.
they're coming from a place of love, right, wanting
Mm.
you to pursue something that's going to give you stability, because they didn't know stability. Like, talk to so
Right.
many immigrant parents, they didn't know if they were going to have food the
Right.
next or whatever, right? They didn't know.
Right.
So it comes from that. And I think we as their children need to have those open conversations. It's hard, super hard. But
Right.
I think I'm super privileged in the fact that, my parents like raised us with the language of dreams, like, my parents have worked so hard for what they have, and they had to go through, they both had, d- great degrees coming from India that didn't mean anything once they came to Canada. So they had to start from scratch, being, the age that I am now, or a few years before, right? So like they had to
Right.
start from scratch. And so they definitely went through that like survival mode too. But so for them to raise their children in the language of dreams and perseverance and dedication and hard work, I think is a testament to them, and but also what is possible when you're open to those conversations, right?
Right.
Sorry, that's a super long ramble and
No,
tangent.
that's okay.
But
That's okay. At the end of the day, like we also need to understand how immigration,
mhm,
from the people, let's say for you, instantly, like your parents came first, and then for someone like me and other people I know, we're the first ones. So
right?
sometimes I have to look at it from that dynamic
Yep,
because when I start feeling the pressure of like, well, why am I not like my Canadian colleagues? But you have to understand, you're building for the first, like you're the first one.
exactly,
Like
exactly, and it's going to be harder.
is
It's
going to
going
be
to be harder.
harder.
Yeah,
And I had to make peace with that to a certain extent, but it also drives as a fuel to like want to be great because it's just not
definitely,
for me. If I'm
definitely.
the first one, I have to lay the foundation right. For this house to be strong, for this house to be built on the right
Totally.
foundations, I got to be strong. And it
And
kept me
how
going.
powerful is that? How powerful, like the fact that you can see it through that lens is so powerful, because it's
Hmm.
very easy to see it through the other lens. Like, woe is me, I have to work twice as hard. But we get to choose how we feel about everything, right? We do get
Right,
that choice in every single second, every single day. We get to choose how we feel. That doesn't mean to invalidate anything, but it also means we get to choose where our power comes from, right? So,
right.
mhm.
Adversity builds character.
It
I
does.
think when
It does.
when you go through certain moments or certain situations
Yeah,
in your life, it opens up your mind to think differently, feel
definitely.
differently. So
Definitely.
I totally concur. And it looks like you've been busy since you were a youngin. And I'm just curious, like, how do you stay grounded in the
Oh
midst
man.
of all the chaos and like trying to, be Ravina the person, because there's Ravina
Mhm.
the person, there's the brand, there's the company. How do
Yeah.
you mitigate all this, and how can you say your mindfulness journey has evolved over time?
Yeah, I honestly feel, and I'll be super transparent honest, I go through seasons and chapters where I feel like I'm aligned. I definitely felt that way in like year 1, 2 of my business, where I
Hmm.
really was, trying to emulate that and be that person. And I think I did achieve that. And then year 3, 4, 5 of my journey, I definitely, burnt out, and it wasn't sustainable. and all of that. And then now I kind of feel like in the middle. Like some days I'll feel like aligned, but some days, kind of like today, where I feel like it's so overwhelming and so much is going on. And should I be happy? Should I be worried? And all of that kind of stuff. So there's so many things to like navigate. But in terms of mindfulness, I think, yeah, same thing. Like I go through like ins and outs of it. I honestly find when I physically remove myself from the day to day, for example, I took an extended like kind of leave in May, June to work on a project in the States. And because it physically removed myself from the day-to-day operations of things, I was
Mm,
truly able to be myself and like ask myself those questions like, who am I now? Because like everyone knows me as like the cake lady or whatever. Like, who am I and what do I like? And
right,
that started like a kind of a domino effect of like, okay, really like taking a hard look at my life and like, is this serving who I want to be in a year or 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now? And honestly, it kind of forced me to like shed some things. And
right,
I'm in the process of like shedding these things from my life that aren't serving me and the person I want to be. And it feels really good. And it's emotional and it
right,
feels good, but it's hard. And so I think as entrepreneurs, we definitely get caught up in like, we always need to be on, we always need to whatever, have all this. But entrepreneurship in itself is personal development. Like, you do not get into this line of work or being an entrepreneur without like being open to personal development. And I
right,
think that's the biggest thing about it. Like, what I think success is now is definitely not what I thought success was like 5 years ago. And that has
right,
been like a journey too. And so like all of that is kind of I don't know. I'm still figuring it out. To
right. And
long story short.
yeah, and like I like that. I like the ever evolving mindset that you possess.
Mhm.
Like things change, situations
Things
change.
change.
Like
Yeah.
you change, your business changes, so you kind of
Yeah,
have to adapt as everything goes.
definitely.
Um, but like I want to tap on something you mentioned, like you when you feel burnt out, like
Yeah.
it, do you typically know when you're about to get that burnout, or is it like you just stop functioning at an elite level on a
Yeah.
day-to-day basis that you kind of like click and say, yeah, we need to take a break here? And what
Yep.
practices do you have a toolkit that you can dive into when you feel like you're burnt out? I know you said you remove yourself from the day-to-day,
Uh-huh.
but like the what other toolkits consciously do you have that you
Yeah.
kind of tap into? Is it like talking to your family? What practices do you
I think
engage in?
that's a great question. And again, I'm in the process of finding out what works for me, right? So,
Right.
but I think what does help me is yeah, removing myself and like actually physically slowing down. Like sometimes I literally make the excuse like, I'm too busy to eat. That's bullshit. Nobody's too busy to eat, okay? So it's like I talked about this on my stories like a couple weeks ago. I'm like, I've literally convinced myself that I'm not allowed to eat because being productive is more important than my sustenance. And that's ridiculous. Of like the internal dialogue is ridiculous. So physically slowing myself down, like gratitude is a huge one. Like when I am on my morning routine and talking out loud to myself, like I'm grateful for this and that. I think I'm in a much more calmer space and I'm able
Right.
to make, better moves and things like I'm just all around like a better person to be around
Hmm.
too. Another thing that I listen to a lot of like podcasts. So it's funny, like it's a subconscious thing. When I am like on the verge of getting burnt out or whatever, I will listen to a lot of true crime. A lot of like podcast, okay? And when I'm really like in it and like committed to like my mouth mindfulness, I will
Right.
listen to, self-development, personal development podcasts. Like I'll be like I want to listen to it. But then I think when I'm burnt out, I don't want to listen to those kind of things because it's a
Hmm.
reminder of where I'm not. And so it's like a defense mechanism that I'm just gonna mask this for a little bit. So it's interesting.
Right.
This is something that I've noticed about myself recently.
Right. And
Mhm.
that's the ever evolving, ever changing nature of
Yeah.
us as
Mhm.
individuals, right?
Mhm.
And I think the other thing that you mentioned is like the difference in how you measure success as a metric,
Yeah,
like from
yeah,
before to now,
yeah,
and growth. I'm assuming from before and now. Like, can you talk us through how the success of
yeah.
your business has evolved over time, and how you've shifted your mindset from the early success to the success that
Mhm.
you see today?
So early success, definitely, I equated that to, number of employees, how much revenue, how many things are we, selling every single day. And those metrics are still important. However, I don't equate it with my success anymore. I think the success I'm working towards now is kind of like peace and freedom. So it's like, how can I streamline? How can I take myself out of the operations? How can I systemize this? And success to me right now looks like I'm able to come home every single day and cook dinner, right?
Right.
So what I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet at all. So yeah, that's gonna it's changed for me because I'm like, okay, now my priority is my family and building a family, right? But right
Right.
now there is still a gap between what I'm doing and my ideal life, which includes, my family
Right.
or building my family. So I think there's just a lot of the biggest change is like self-awareness and
Mm.
just realizations of like what is actually important to me and what's
Right.
actually going to make me happy. Like, is an extra, however much money in my bank account going to make me happy? Maybe for a couple seconds,
Right.
but, you
Hey,
know,
I could send you my interact though.
I mean, I realize this a lot. It's
Hey,
like,
man.
what do I need to actually like feel happy? Like, I don't need much. I really don't. And I think I'm realizing that now.
How do
Yeah.
you define happiness?
Happiness to me is just like, that's a good question. It's like for me it's freedom. Like it's that's the one word that keeps coming up for me is like it's just freedom. It's like if I want to leave work at 2 p.m., great. If I want to start great, great. If I want to take a break, great. Like it's freedom to me. Happiness is freedom.
All
So,
right.
yeah.
Okay.
Just
So I
agreeing with
think, yeah, I think freedom is a huge part. Like if you boil down to the base of humanity, there's an
that.
aspect of freedom to everything that we try and
Yeah.
do. So
Yeah.
totally see that point of view. Let's talk about a little bit about being a leader in
Mhm.
this field of being an entrepreneur.
Right.
Leadership requires you're in a business where you have to deal with a lot of people, you have to talk to
Yeah.
people, you have to build relationships with other people. How
Yeah.
do you see yourself as a leader, and how has the business side of things helped you to become better in that aspect?
Yeah. It's a great question. I think to be a leader is to, how do I say this? It's like a combination of humility and assertiveness and being willing to take your ego, put your ego aside. I think
Mm,
that's the biggest thing a good leader carries within themselves is, the willingness to put your ego aside. And I think ego has its time and place in terms of, being in terms of what's the word? Execution and things like and delusion in to a
mm-hmm,
certain extent.
mm-hmm,
But I think yeah, being a leader is to be able to put your ego aside and be humble about it and also, lead with grace and compassion. Um it has a lot of overlap, I think, with therapy, with, psychology. It's all psychology, in my opinion, right? It's like
right.
figuring out, like, how is this going to make somebody else feel? Or, like, really understanding the way that someone responds to certain direction versus another person. Like, you in a business, for example, you will have you know, your A plus employees that you don't
Right.
have to tell anything or they'll just execute, they'll initiate. But then you also have your other employees that are amazing and maybe their personality is perfectly aligned with your values, but they need a little bit more direction. That doesn't mean one is better than the other. It just
Mm,
means that you're able to kind of almost be like a chameleon in a sort, that
right.
you're able to play to people's strengths, right? And then also be able to see those strengths too. Because if you have just one cookie cutter like image of what someone should be as a worker or as your employee, then you're not going to build a diverse team. And you do need a diverse team to be successful, in my opinion.
Right. And that's a really good way to frame it. Like, humility definitely is something I
Yeah,
agree when it comes to leadership. The ability to understand that your point of view might not always be right. Um,
exactly.
the other people who come in with diverse point of views, as you said, now that's where that diversity comes in as well.
Yeah,
Like, you need a diverse team to have diverse point of views.
yeah,
It helps a lot. And
totally.
out of curiosity, like when you're building these relationships with your A plus employees and the other
Hmm.
relationships with the ones who need a little bit more work, how does
Hmm.
that ever help you to realize things about yourself? Because I
Yeah,
feel like when you're coaching or giving feedback to somebody, you start
yeah,
noticing things. Oh, but do I really think about it like that? Or
yeah.
what does that
I
reflect
think
about me?
it's definitely been it's allowed me to see holes, and I think more so holes in, like, yeah, my way of thinking or the way I do things. Like, there is a better way or there could be a better way, and I need to be open to that, right? Like, for
Mm-hmm.
example, like, before I hired one of my I have one of my, A+ employees, team members, in my mind right now, and she completely changed the way we systemized everything, to the way our recipe books were written, to the way like we did things, to the equipment that we use, stuff like that, right? Because I just
Mm-hmm.
didn't see it that way. And you have to be able to be put your ego aside, that you don't know everything, that you can learn something from everyone. And also there's that compassion for imperfection. If you approach imperfections with compassion and grace, and knowing that you're also human and we can be imperfect, it can actually, like, it can benefit you in a lot of ways too.
Mm-hmm.
That's a value that I'm kind of taking from my first, job as a behavior interventionist. The company I was with, that was one of their biggest values, is compassion for imperfection. That we're imperfect humans, and it's okay. It's totally fine.
It's okay. It's
Mhm.
okay. It's never that serious, to be
It's never
honest.
that serious.
It's never that serious. If we're keeping it 100, like sometimes you just
Exactly.
gotta playfully attack everything and just kind of like let go. Yeah, in terms of like relationships that you've built over this journey,
Mhm.
do you have any specific one that shifted the journey significantly, in terms
Mhm.
of the trajectory of how things could have played out if you didn't meet this person?
It's a great question. I have a few people in mind. Just like in terms of like coaches and mentors and things like that. And
Right.
being, allowing me to see the potential. Because sometimes when you're so stuck in tunnel vision and doing the day to day, you don't
Mm-hmm.
see the potential, right? So, like, I think it was actually the first large wholesale contract we had, with Fresh Street Market in the Lower Mainland. The bakery manager there, Matt, and I'm still great friends with Matt, and we're still at Fresh Street Market. He was like, "Your product will do so well in grocery stores," and I was like, "What? Are you joking? How do you even do that?"
Mm-hmm.
And like, and then he was like, "No, no, like it's really not that bad," and walking me through it, and then me kind of like self teaching myself of like everything with like all the requirements and the labeling and all that kind of stuff. But if he hadn't like planted that seed in my mind, I would not have, got a warehouse or shifted my entire focus to like wholesale business, right? And that's like
Right.
where we're headed. So that's one person that comes to mind. Another person is my husband, right? I think he definitely he's supported me since day one. And again, you are so engulfed with the day to day that you don't see outside looking in. And like him just saying, you're making an impact. You're actually making impact. And my why has always been to help inspire people with my story to do what they want to do and be creative and go out of the box. And it's okay to try new things, right?
Right.
And it's like, you are truly making impact. So getting that validation in terms of that relationship has been so like so crucial to me keeping on going, because I don't know if I didn't have that, I don't know if I would have. right? So
I love that. I love that. You're touching on something that's very important in terms of like relationships that we have with our partners. And
yeah,
that validation that comes from like a place of genuine love, genuine connection, it really, I always tell people like all it takes is that one person to believe in you.
yeah,
And
it truly,
once they give you, and it doesn't have to be loud. It could be just a one-on-one conversation on a day-to-day, but hey, listen, you got this. Like you
yeah,
got this.
that's so
Um,
true.
but
That's so
then
so.
at the end of the day, I'm glad that you brought that up and you said your husband is one of your biggest fans,
Yeah.
because I want to ask you like how do you balance the you know the aspect of being a full-time businessman? Let's get away from the business a little bit. Let's
Yeah.
get away from the business a little bit. Relationship with your husband, like
Yeah.
how do you feel like the business and matching the growth patterns of being partners,
A couple. Yeah.
you got like, man, I'll let you take take the wheel. Take
It's
the wheel.
honestly, it's hard because on in his perspective, like we haven't had like a normal relationship, right? It's always been about building the business, and that's not fair. It's not fair to
Right,
the partner of the entrepreneur kind of thing, right? But then for him to kind of take this stream as his own and being willing to work on it and build it with me is like that's like such a selfless form of love. And just realizing that and just and leaning into it, like it's not always perfect, and it's not always happy, and you let external forces kind of dictate your emotions sometimes, but then it's your unit, right? And I think
right,
that's something that we're learning now that we've been married for like 3 years, but we've been together for 12, so he's definitely seen it since day one,
from the
um,
jump.
in terms of the business. And I think it's just, yeah, it's being communicative on what your goals are, right? And also honoring your partners. Like this is your partner, and they're sacrificing, what they want from a relationship to be a partner, like a true partner in the sense of the word, right? So
Right,
yeah, like when everybody else our age was going on cute trips and like whatever and doing all these date nights, like I was busy in the kitchen working. I would see him
right,
maybe once or twice a month, and that was it. Like, I mean, we met in UBC, so we saw each other every day then. But then after that, when I truly got into like building the business, it was
right.
few and far between, right? And but
Mm-hmm.
talking every day and talking through things, and he's being super proud of me and all this kind of stuff. I think, yeah, like you said, it sometimes it just takes one person to believe in you to want to like carry you through.
Nice.
Yeah,
I'm
but it's a
glad
work
that
in
you
progress.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you guys kind of like figured out a formula that works for you. Because at
Yeah,
the end of the
we're
day,
getting
like,
there. I mean,
yeah,
again, nothing's perfect, and there's days like today where I'm home at 9, and it's hard to have that one-on-one time, but we're working on it. That's the goal. That's essentially like what I envision for like our ideal life is like for us to be able to have that one-on-one time like more often and things like that. So yeah, but he's super
so
proud and super amazing.
nice. In
Mhm.
and in terms of how your perspective and view of love has evolved, like how have you come to understand what love is in the lens of
Right.
your world, and how do you come to notice like how he wants to be loved? Like how do you kind of like,
Yeah.
you know, navigate through all that while also trying to like identify yourself as your own woman, like
Right.
it's a little bit tough. How have you gone about that?
Yeah, I think that's something that we're probably working through right now in terms of just, figuring out how to be there for each other and things like that. But I think my definition of love has obviously when you're a teenager, young 20s, it's very like romantic type of love is what you think about when you think about love, right? But then now I think for me, it's like stability and partnership, like your life partner. And the word partner is like big in my vocabulary. It's like you're not no, like you're not just my husband, you're my partner. Like we're in this together, right? So I think that has shifted for me as well. And I think like when I kind of bird's eye look at like how he's treated me and my business and the growth of it, like that is true selflessness, right? Selflessness. Yeah. It's putting someone else before you put yourself. And I think, that's a testament to who he is. And yeah, I feel pretty lucky.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. Shout out to him wherever he's
Oh,
at. We
thanks.
love you, bro.
Upstairs.
um, let's talk about like, how your relationship we'll finish out this relationship section with like, just how your relationship with your family has evolved
Yeah.
as, they were the first ones to
Yeah.
see the vision.
Totally.
Is that still the case? Are they still a big part of what you do? And how has that relationship evolved over time?
Yeah. I think when I was doing it for my mom's house, she's super excited, obviously, but then she was like, "You can't do this in my house anymore because you make a mess." But all jokes aside, like they're so proud and they, sometimes I'll like, get down on myself and talk to my dad. I'm like, what if this doesn't work out? Or what if something doesn't, pan out the way I thought it was? He's like, well, look at what you've done so far. So he's always like, even in like hard times, like obviously it's no secret that the economy is not the best right now. And, that's been really hard on small business.
Right,
And so I was kind of in my feels one day and like telling him, I was like, what if this isn't working? I was like, well, it's okay. Like, and also look at what you've done so far. You've made such an impact on people's lives or you've done this X, Y, and Z for your team and this like that counts for something, right? Just
right,
because, one day if you do have to close up shop or do something drastic, that doesn't mean you failed, right?
right,
So I think that it's right now it's a lot of emotional support more so than anything else that I so appreciate from my family. Like and
right,
my sisters too. Like they'll be the first ones to say my name in a room or whatever, right? Or anything like that. And it's always been that way. So I think I'm again super privileged and super grateful to have like grown up in that like supportive, loving environment because I do recognize that a lot of entrepreneurs don't get that and they truly do feel alone. So yeah, I do feel very grateful for that.
Yeah. Happy that you
Mhm.
got a community that supports you
Yeah,
and nourishes your soul because that's important to keep you going. Um,
super.
it's
Yeah.
it's very important to
I
stay
think
in
about
that
that a
zone.
lot. Like if everything was to shit the bed today or tomorrow
Hmm.
and I lost everything, I would still have a bed to sleep in, people that love me, and food to eat. I am so blessed, like so blessed. And that just helps like ground me for a little bit. Like tomorrow, like people still love me. I have my family. I still have like my basic needs met. I am so lucky. And I think that just helps in the gratitude aspect of things. Yeah.
Right. Quickly, I have a question that just propped up when you mentioned that
Mhm.
because I think when you said if everything was to kind of like go away, lost everything, you still have people that love you. I think during this journey, there are moments where you've lost relationships that you felt like they would be there for life. Like
Mhm.
this would be my day ones, my ride or die.
Yeah.
You nurtured those relationships, but then it got to a point where maybe life happened and you had to diverge and go different ways.
Yeah.
Talk us through how you deal with loss of relationships through this whole journey that is crazy.
I think before I used to get really emotional about it and I used to really internalize it. Like there must be something wrong with me. There must be something wrong with me. But sometimes it's just you just grow apart and that's okay. And then I think recently I'm like, you know what? If this person wouldn't put in the same amount of effort that I'm willing to put in for them, then that person's not my person. Um, in the capacity of a friend, of a whatever, yeah, as a friend or even with family, right? If
Right,
this person is unwilling to put in the same amount of effort that I'm willing to put in for them, then we're not aligned. And that's okay. And I don't want to, I mean, this may sound harsh, like I don't want to waste my time like, focusing on people that don't care about me or don't want me in the same way. So that's okay. So I think
right,
I'm a little bit more sure of myself in that way. So
right.
yeah.
Yeah. So the nurturing aspect comes from a mutual effort.
Yes.
if you nourish this relationship or
And
this
it doesn't have
friendship,
to be transactional. I don't want that to sound transactional. I want it to
right,
be like, if even I have friends that I don't speak to for months, but when we do get together, I feel safe. I feel heard. I feel like they actually care about what I'm saying.
right,
Versus, just wanting to be my friend because they're gonna get a free cake on their birthday. So
right.
just to give
Hey,
an
speak
example,
on it. Speak on it.
just to give an example, right? So it's like, it's yeah. So I think now it's more about like who actually cares for me. Um, and yeah.
Like,
Hmm.
hey man, we've touched on a lot of business, a lot of relationships. Let's have some fun. Hey, I know you're a fitness
I
fan.
used
You
to be. I'm getting
used
back.
to be. All right, what's up? Talk to me. What's going on in that journey?
Well, I mean, I did 75 hard last year, and I'm so proud of that. Are you familiar with 75 hard?
Yeah, I've been actually seeing posts like recently about it. Yeah,
So yeah, I did that. I was so aligned, so disciplined, and everything like that. And then we got our third location, which is our warehouse, and it's been like starting a new business, right? So it's like it's been so crazy, and I don't want that to sound like an excuse because I'm not making an excuse. Like I could be more disciplined,
right,
but yeah. So I think that has kind of gone to the back burner a little bit. But I am still active. It's just not as active as I know I can be. And I
right.
know when I am that active, I'm a striker. So
You're
I'm
locked
like
in.
I'm
Yeah,
locked in. So I'm craving to get back, and it's just like, okay, now I just need to carve it into my day to day. I know I'm capable of it.
right.
Yeah, I'm ready to get back into it. So yeah.
Typically, are you more of like a because I feel like physical fitness takes different forms. Like you could be
Yeah.
the gym person, you could be the
Yeah.
Pilates, you could be the runner, you could be the tennis player. Like there's so
Yeah.
many avenues that you could take on the
Right.
facet of fitness. What typically makes it tick for you when you're in that
So
zone?
weight. Yeah, lifting weights for sure. I
Hmm.
like feeling strong. And I
Right.
think now, whereas before, sorry, going to the gym, working out used to be really kind of aesthetic based. I am
Mm.
now like I want to be strong. Like I just want to be strong. And so it's a good kind of mental shift too. And I'm like, okay, because I'm carrying like 50-kilo bags a day.
Right.
But yeah, no, I want to be strong and I want to be healthy. I want to see the legacy that hopefully gonna I'm hopefully achieving. I'm hopefully gonna leave. I want to see that, I want to be able to see the longevity of it. So yeah,
Right. And I guess it boils down to like also character. Like you're
mhm,
somebody who wants to see improvement. You want to see
yeah,
I think fitness is the best way to physically see effort and
yeah,
drive
it's
because
true.
it all starts with us.
That's so
Like
true.
whatever we manifest outside the world is just a
Mhm,
reflection of how we manifest ourselves within
yeah.
ourselves. So
Hmm.
I think you can get back into it, and I always ask people like,
Yeah,
just start small. Like, it
yeah.
doesn't have to be anything
I mean,
grandiose, and as you said, it's not aesthetic
exactly.
based anymore.
No.
So
And like, I mean, for me, like it could even look like, just going for an hour-long walk in my break or something like that. So like that's
right.
something I'm hoping to start, back up next week. Right now I used to go to the gym like 4 or 5 times a week, and now I'm going twice a week. So I'm like, okay, let's start small. Let's build this back up and things like
Hmm.
that. And like put in, 2 gym workouts, 2 walks. I can totally do that, and then like
Right, right.
build my way up.
Build it
So
up. Yeah, build it up.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
we'll get there. I'm confident I'll get there.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I have no doubts that it's gonna be blessed. So all it takes is just to start. But
Totally.
um yeah, Wednesday night, of course we're gonna end this episode just by asking you on your final thoughts and
Yeah.
advice for listeners in terms of like what lessons you can give in terms
Yeah.
of one, being an entrepreneur, and two, how to just incorporate that in a healthy way without
Mhm.
feeling like everything is too much
Yeah.
in that journey.
I think the one word that comes to mind is execution. And that's execution is just start. You don't need to have all the answers to start. Done is better than perfect, and that's something I've definitely learned. I think it's really overwhelming feeling that you need to have all of the answers before you start. You will never have all the answers, so just start. If you want to start a business, start by opening up a Shopify account. Watch a YouTube video. Today, let's open up a Shopify account. Tomorrow, let's add a product. In 3 days from now, let's create a landing page. Whatever it is, like bite size it and just execute on it. So that's, I think, my biggest advice. And also just in terms of like life, like that's also it, right? If you want to, again, if you want to build your way up to 5 days a week in the gym, start with one. Then next week, start with two, do two, then three, then four, then five. Habit stack, right? So it's all execution. So
Hey man, she said it all boils down to execution, and
all
I
good.
love that. I love that a lot because um, even just talking to you, and I'm hoping we can formulate a relationship outside this episode
Mhm.
because there's so much that I've just learned from the like 50 minutes that I've been on the platform with you,
Good, I'm
and
glad.
it's just so amazing to see how determined and passionate and open-minded and vulnerable that you are with your journey. And I feel like that needs to be, you need to be told that, and it needs to be celebrated. And I hope to learn more from you as moving forward, as somebody who I can look up to. Me myself being in this journey trying to figure out what I'm trying to do, it just started with what you said, execution. Just
Let's
saying, you know what, I don't have the answers, but let's do it. So
let's
what?
do it. Yeah.
I might look funny in the first instances, but it's okay.
Mhm.
Honestly, like the first episode, I was sweating. This one, I'm kind of calm, but I'm still sweating, but the sweat has reduced a little bit.
Well, there you go, right? All it is, like humans, we're creatures of habit and repetition, and that you just got to start. That's all it is. So yeah.
Great. So,
Thank you so much. This was so nice and such a great way to end a Wednesday. So I really
I'm
appreciate it.
glad.
And
I'm glad.
yeah,
Before I let you go, though, I do want to ask you, where can the listeners find you in terms
yeah.
of socials and business avenues that they
Well, we
can
didn't
reach
even
out?
talk about gummy games, but it's okay.
Woo! I'm saving you for another episode. What you mean?
Save that for another episode because that's a fun. Yeah, you can find me on my business is Just Cakes Bake Shop. My personal brand page is Rob the Chef. So those two are probably the best ways to get in touch and let's talk. So yeah,
All right. I'm looking forward to the next one that I'll
yeah,
have you. We talk about gummy games and we'll talk about
awesome,
accomplishments because I feel
perfect.
like that's important to also kind of dive deep.
Sure.
But thank
Yeah,
you, thank you so much for
awesome.
taking the
Thank
time.
you. Of course.
Thanks for creating this avenue to have the time to do this on a Wednesday night. I'm
Yeah,
super
totally.
grateful, and yeah, that was it.
Awesome. Thank you. Awesome.